Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. A very warm welcome to Sunday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. This is the best and only place for not only your DC news, but your DC opinions. So let's go. Look at this. We have an exclusive picture from the Flash movie. Wow, look at this. Don't they look amazing? Of course, having seen the test screening, I've seen these two with Ezra, and I must say, they are two of my favourite things about the movie. I love these two actors. But Mick, who are they? You're spoiling it. I don't care. We're under a month away from the movie. It's exciting. This is the kind of stuff you're going to get on this channel. Lots of Superman Legacy talk. Lots of Flash movie talk. If you don't like it, you may get a few spoilers. You're going to have to go away. Although if I drive all 5 people who watch my videos away, then I'll be talking to myself. I do like talking to myself. So should we get into the details? Let's. So, this is from the DCU, the Direct, and official new The Flash still has confirmed that Rudy Mancuso and Saoirse Monica Jackson are playing Albert Desmond and Patty Spivot in the movie. Now, Patty, actually, if I remember rightly, was in season 2 of the Flash TV series with Grant Gustin, played by a different actor. But I must say, both of these actors do really, really well with what they're given in this movie. And that's one of the surprising elements of this movie when I saw the test screening. And I'm happy they've kept them in. Because when you watch a test screening, sometimes when you go and watch the theatrical version, this is why I always say to you guys, just because I've seen a test screening, doesn't mean I'm going to, you're going to probably see a different movie to what I saw all those months ago. It was a long time ago. I wasn't sure if these two were going to be kept in. I'm very, very happy that they have, because they were two of like some of my favourite things about the movie, and there's lots of good things about the movie. And these two are brilliant in the movie, and I'm glad that Saoirse, how do you say her name? Saoirse? I think it's Saoirse. I don't know how you say that name anyway. And Albert are very good in the movie. And I'm glad they're in it. But we got more headlines on today's DC Universe Daily. So stay here right with us. So this rumour is doing the rounds. We're getting a lot of Reddit.com DCEU leaks from one person on Reddit. Now, I don't know how reliable Reddit is, but anyway, a rumour. Mike Flanagan is set to write and direct the Clayface film. Now, if you remember rightly, this rumour came up and we discussed it quite a few months ago. Now, of course, Mike Flanagan is a brilliant writer-director. This would make me really, really happy. Now, I think this is part of Matt Reeves' universe. Is this part of Matt Reeves' universe, or is it part of James Gunn's DC universe? That's the thing. I'm not kind of sure, but look, I don't know much about Clayface, but just looking at the picture we've got here, he looks fucking scary, and I'd love to really see a movie. And if Mike Flanagan's going to do that, that would be terrific. I think, look, if this is DC Elseworlds, and I suspect that it is, I do feel that DC Elseworlds, and I've always felt this, will do better money, get better reviewed, and loved more by fans. Basically, to cut a longer story short, I think DC Elseworlds is going to do better than DC Universe. And if that's just Matt Reeves and Todd Phillips' universes, then fine, if they don't do anything else. But I think that will be an opportunity missed, because I think DC Universe is what, or should I say, DC Elseworlds is what audiences really want to see. But DC are going down a very intelligent, direction in having the Elseworld movies, even if it's just Matt Reeves stuff and Todd Phillips stuff, and doing what James Gunn's doing in the DC universe as well. It means you've got a bit of a variety. It's something that Marvel don't have, but something tells me that Feige will probably be going down that direction as well. So I hope this is true. But there's more. So here's your rumour on Superman Legacy. This is something that's been going for a while, but here we go. So, rumour on Superman Legacy. These are wild fucking rumours. I'm not sure I believe them. Codenamed character, Apex, is Jack Hawksmoor, who will be portrayed by a black actor. Codenamed character Blitz is engineer Andy Spicker. Ghostman will be the Doctor. I don't know what any of this is about. If you know what that means, let me know in the comments. Eve Tessmacher will be Lex's assistant and is described as an influencer. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? A fucking influencer. James, what are you doing? No, I don't really believe any of these rumours. I mean, the Apex stuff, maybe. That sounds interesting. Codenamed character Blitz is engineer Andy Spicker. You know, I don't know. It looks like someone might, if this is true, had a look at James Gunn's script and basically has had a little, you know, read through his script. But we'll get to James Gunn because he had a lot to say about all these rumours, and we'll see what he has to say very, very soon. Now, this is what James Gunn had to say on all of these rumours. I'm getting barraged with bullshit DC rumours this morning. I'll just reiterate the general rule not to believe anything unless it comes from me or Peter, which sounds like a really good rule, James. But unless it's especially egregious, I'm going to slow down on calling shit out. Sorry, I know it's one of my favourite pastimes. So someone made this comment which he responded to, which I found really, really interesting, everyone. You're storyboarding based on the first draft. It's far from the first draft. Yeah, that's what he says. That was just, I screenshot what he said, but I missed out what he said after that. Basically, he goes, at the moment, I'm working on storyboarding Superman Legacy. So very exciting. So this fan, Mr. Dark GG, goes, you're storyboarding based on the first draft, ? It's far from the first draft. Now, this is very, very interesting. What does he mean it's far from the first draft? Does he mean he hasn't even done a first draft? Or does it mean that he's already done a second draft and multiple drafts? Look, I don't know what he means. And this is the problem with Gunn. He says a lot of different things all the time. And you never know where you are with him. Now, they're your main headlines we can be getting along with today. So there are some very, very interesting rumours. Do I believe any of them? I believe that Mike Flanagan is going to write and direct a Clayface movie. I think Mike has kind of denied this before. And when they come out straight away and deny things, you know it's true. I think they're definitely having discussions with Mike in doing it. Again, I can't remember when the original rumour came out, if it was part of Matt Reeves' universe, something totally different. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Mike Flanagan, if you know who he is, can write and direct a great Clayface movie? And as I say, if you're here and you know all about Clayface, why don't you tell me all about Clayface? Because I am a DC fan, but I don't know everything. I'm not an encyclopedia of DC. I fell in love with DC as a small boy, and mainly Superman from watching Superman the movie, then the rest of the Reeve movies, you know, the Batman 89, Batman 92, all the Batman movies. Smallville really, really fed my passion for DC, and it just went on and on, the DCEU, and we're here now, right? That's where my fandom comes from. I'm not really a reader. I don't have the concentration, which is really weird and scary because I do a lot of my own writing. I write my own plays here in Cyprus and I act in them and I direct them and I produce them. And so, yeah, it's a bit weird that I don't read stuff, right? You probably think that, but I do have some issues, which means I don't have a lot of concentration and it's hard for me to focus on stuff. I really have to have a reason. I have to be motivated to focus on something. It's amazing I sit here for half an hour. It means I'm interested in you guys and delivering something to you guys and talking about DC. It means I love DC and it interests me, and that's how I can do it. So Mike Flanagan, there's probably some truth to it. The Superman Legacy stuff sounds really, really weird. Now, he also said that there is an element of truth to some of it. Now, there was actually another rumour. Actually, this isn't the end of the news because there's another update for you. Forgot all about this. Thank you, Brain, for reminding me. I would have been really pissed off if I did this video and I didn't mention this. So, what's his name? Tom King is being rumoured as one of the writers for the brand new Green Lantern series on HBO Max. That's comic book icon Tom King. He's also controversial comic book writer Tom King. He's not everyone's cup of tea. But because I don't really read comics, I can't venture an opinion. I'm going to have to see if he is involved, and we know he is involved with Gunn's DC Universe team. So that is probably true, and that's probably what Gunn's talking about being true. So also, former Lost co-creator and writer and creative, Damon Lindelof, also, of course, who worked on the Watchmen TV show. He ran it, he conceived that show, will be a producer, apparently, according to rumours, on the Green Lantern show. There seems to be an element of truth to that. So very, very interesting. So apparently, Tom King will be writing the Green Lantern show. What do I think about comic book writers writing live action? It's something I've been talking about for many, many years. I said it years ago. I said it 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. I said, I don't understand that people who can write comic books, if you can write a comic book, you should at least be storyboarding a comic book movie. You should at least be, consulting with the people making the film or the TV series and putting them right. But I've never understood why a comic book writer, can't write a script. And I know it's different to write a book or a comic book than writing a script. There's different elements to it. I get that. But with the imagination of comic book writers and artists, I think it's a really good idea. For example, we had a Wonder Woman writer co-writing the Wonder Woman movie with Zack Snyder. And he did the screenplay, Alan Heinberg. And, the first Wonder Woman movie, if I haven't told you a billion times before, is one of my favourite CBMs of all time. It's because someone who knew the character was there. And Zack knew that. And that's why Zack brought Alan onto the process of telling the first Wonder Woman movie's story. And it really did work, everyone. So I want to see more comic book writers writing CBMs and comic book live action on television, whether it's streaming or the old TV format. It doesn't really matter. We need these people because these people understand the format. They love the format. It's in their blood. They should be involved. So it's a very good idea for James to be working with Tom King. It's very good to have Jim Lee running the comic book brand of DC Comics. He's someone who's been working on DC and Marvel for many, many years. But it's not just important to have these people in the business. If they're there, you may as well use their experience, knowledge, passion, and expertise. Because something that filmmakers, writers and directors lack is a knowledge of the comic book world. Because it's one thing to be a fan of comics and have knowledge of comics like James has, but he's coming from it at the filmmaker's perspective. And everyone has a POV, a point of view. You can't blame people for their own points of view. It's how you're growing up, it's what you're taught, it's what is put in your brain. All kids, when you're growing up, their brain's like a sponge and you soak up your experiences and it kind of forms the kind of person you are. So no one's blaming anyone for their points of view, but if you've got the comic book writers at Marvel or at DC, you use them. I think in the early days of Marvel Studios, before Disney bought them up, they were consulting more and more with the comic division at Marvel. That's why Iron Man was so good. I think that's very, very, very important, that the people who are writing the comics, or people like Marv Wolfman, who wants to see a Deadshot movie, who wants to see Ben Affleck's The Batman get made. These people are still around no matter how old they are. They still do conventions, they're healthy, you at least consult with them. You're never arrogant enough to say, we don't need you, because we're doing a reimagining. Because how many comic book movies are ending up successful with that attitude today? So I do agree with James Gunn having Tom King there, but it just depends. You know, as I say, there's some people I speak to, comic book nerds, who despise Tom King. And, you know, I don't really understand, because these days people don't really dive deep enough. I want to know why you don't like someone. No, I genuinely want to know, so I know the facts of the argument. I know why people don't like Zack Snyder, and I'll explain it to you. Now, I love Zack as a man, as a person, and as a creative personally, but I'm coming from a point of view of not reading the comics. The reason people don't like Zack Snyder, especially DC nerds, is because he makes great cinema. What he's making is beautiful, and there's no question about that, but he takes liberties with the source material. Now, that's the difference between Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and, you know, the Harry Potter movie franchise. There's an accuracy on the source material. Yes, now Zack Snyder's fans are going to go, but if you read the comments, look at that panel, it's exactly like the movie. They're not talking about the art. The fans who are upset with Zack Snyder are not talking about the panels. They're talking about the narrative conceit, the storytelling, the liberties his storytelling basically gets, right? And I think that's important. Sorry, I'm moving backwards and forwards because the sun is too bright for my little cheap camera and it's annoying me. I wanted to darken it up a bit. It's not working. So that's why people don't like Zack Snyder, because, or some people don't like Zack Snyder, because they feel he takes liberties with the source material, especially with a character like Superman. So I think, yeah, if you want to know the reason why people don't like Zack, that's why. Now, not being a comic book reader, I'm free of those kind of opinions because I only know live action. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, you know, that's the reason that the Lord of the Rings franchise and the Harry Potter franchise were popular. They were accurate to the source material and they made money. And there was very few controversies because they stayed faithful to the source material. Now, lucky for Warner Brothers, they worked very, very closely with J.K. Rowling on the Harry Potter franchise, which was important. But of course, it was there was no one, you know, obviously there's people who know a lot about Tolkien, but when Peter Jackson was adapting those stories, there was no Tolkien anymore. But he took those books, he used them as a Bible. Look, it must be very difficult to adapt Tolkien's work. There's no question about that. I certainly couldn't do it, and I love Tolkien's work, but I couldn't sit there adapting the stuff that he did. You know, very difficult. But Peter Jackson, a very talented man, and his team did it. Absolutely sensational. And when you adapt something and you do it faithfully, you get the rewards, and the studio gets the rewards. You make money, you get critical acclaim, and you make everybody happy. These days, it's not the way it works out. Very few storytellers, when they're doing adaptations for the cinema or television, actually want to be faithful to the source material. Some people will say, well, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be copy and pasted. It's hard to do faithful adaptations of comics. Now, that's an interesting thing. That's the excuses that people use. How can you adapt a comic book? Now, I don't think you have to copy and paste anything, but there's certain things about these comic book characters, especially characters like Superman, that you must bring in to the movie, to the movies, or to the live action, or your adaptation, or your reimagining. Let's look at Superman the movie, 1978. Now, when Superman the movie was released in 1978, Superman was 40 years old. His first comic book story in Action Comics #1 was released in 1938. So Superman had been around for many, many years. If they wanted to, they could have done a reimagining. They could have done something different. They could have taken the leap that Snyder did. But at that time, Superman was also losing his popularity, and people saw him like an agent of the status quo. And he wasn't as, let's say, popular as he once was. So Dick Donner could have said, you know what, Tom Mankiewicz, we need to change this. We need to darken this up. People don't like this character anymore. What can we do? But instead of doing that, Richard Donner said, we don't want to mess with Granny's apple pie. We don't want to mess with Americana. We need to be faithful with this material. We have to remind people why they used to love Superman. And that's exactly what Donner and Mankiewicz did. They created some brilliant original characters, but they kept with the faith, the core of the story from the comics. He's from Krypton. His dad's Jor-El, his mum's Lara. They created some original stuff on Krypton, but it was good. The whole crystal thing was something that they created. The way it looked is the way that was visually what they created for the movie. But it works. He still goes to Smallville. He's brought up by the Kents. That element works on film. Then the fortress rises. They kept the Fortress of Solitude. Very, very important. He finds out who he is. Then he goes to fulfill his destiny in Metropolis and meets Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen and Perry Wyatt. The whole thing works because they stick to the basics. But we know that Snyder is someone who enjoys shaving against the grain, like many of these, creatives do today. Rian Johnson with The Last Jedi, basically shaving. You don't get shaving against the grain more than Rian Johnson did. And it's interesting, you look at Chris Chibnall and Doctor Who. He tried to rewrite history with Doctor Who because he wanted to be more inclusive. But then he sidelined his minority companions. He basically introduced the first female of colour version of the Doctor. Then he had a white female Doctor playing the black female Doctor in one of the stories. So then you think that's a little bit racist. So you're either trying to be inclusive or you're not. These people always trip over their coattails in the end because they're over focused on their political propaganda. Ultimately, that's the reason that we're in this kind of mess we are today, because people are making entertainment for the wrong reasons. The people who make great entertainment, whether it's adaptations or original material, have a love for the art form and want to tell their story, whatever that story is. And if you've got to focus on your story, that's when it ends up so well. And I think this is what's important with James Gunn's Superman Legacy. I think it's a really good idea what James Gunn's also doing with that film. He's going to respect the past with all the films and TV shows. I don't know how he's going to do it, but that's what he says he's going to do. Then he's going to tell his story with his Superman. And hopefully we don't have Miss Tess Marker as an influencer. Maybe that would work. It sounds pretty wild to me, but hey, it's all very strange. But just now we need to talk about rumours and the concept of rumours so people understand. I hear a lot of people treating rumours sometimes like facts, and I just want to get some things clear here so people understand. So you're not misinformed. It's for your own good. Because I do feel that some of you feel rumours and news. Oh my God, I went on this really weird site and they were saying things about DC. And people start telling me, it's like they're telling me factual stuff. It's not. As James says, unless you're hearing anything from James or Peter, it's not news, it's not official, it's not happening. So that's what you've got to remember. That's what you've got to remember. Whatever you read, get excited, enjoy the hype, because that's what rumours are about at the end of the day. It's about being part of the hype, but never believe it all. Wait until it's officially announced. I want to go back to what James Gunn said to the fan on his little announcement about, he's just going to let people spread rumours now. He can't be bothered with it unless it's really, really blatant bullshit. And when the fan says to him, so you're basically starting to do, your boards, you're starting to do your drawings and stuff on, working off of one draft. And he goes, what did he say? Let's have a look at this again. He says it's far from the first. Yes, it's far from the first draft. So this is a debate we've been having for a very, very long time, because we were saying, how are we going into pre-production on a first draft? Because he mentioned he'd done the first draft about a week or so before that. So James Gunn says something. I think sometimes he likes to send us down one direction, then to the other, and then, you don't know where you are. So clearly James Gunn, from reading that again, it looks like James Gunn's done more than one draft, maybe more than two drafts. It's clear the writer's strike won't affect Superman Legacy. But, it's this actor's strike which is the oncoming storm. Of course, and this is what I'm predicting as well, I think there could be a late deal for the actors in the 11th hour. But it's very, very complicated, because SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union, have said they want to stand united along with the WGA, the Writers Guild of America. But it will be interesting to see if SAG-AFTRA get the deal that they want. Will they stand on the picket lines with the Writers Guild of America, or will they say, thank you very much, let's get back to work? Because if the actors do go on strike, nothing is going to be made, especially Superman Legacy, especially anything. Hollywood will come to a standstill. I think the industry is quite happy for the time being to allow the writers to go on strike. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll just get artificial intelligence to start writing stuff totally. I don't know what they're going to do. But the industry seems quite relaxed about the writers' strike. But they know if the actors go on strike as well, then there's no movies, there's no TV shows, there's no billion-dollar box offices. Of course, for the next 12, 18 months are okay. They've got stuff to release. But that attitude isn't going to get them anywhere, because when 12, 18 months are over, they're going to have no shit to do, and they're going to have delays. Obviously, there's a cut-off point where they say, right, we have to do something here. The problem is with the strike, with the Writers Guild of America, it's not just about money. They want more writers. They want a writer per episode of a TV show. They want artificial intelligence banned. And these are things that, the studios and the powers that be in Hollywood really don't want to. They don't want to give in to what the Writers Guild of America wants. They're probably quite happy to give them the money they want, or as close as possible to the money they want. But this is beyond money. It's the other terms the Writers Guild of America want, which is the real problem. So we'll see how that plays out. Why are you talking about this, Mick? Well, of course, if there is an actors' strike and they do unite with the Writers Guild of America on the picket lines, there's no movies. There's no DC Universe. There's no The Batman 2. The Joker 2's been made. So unless the Directors Guild goes on strike as well, which is a possibility. So this industry could actually come to a standstill. Now, as a fan of DC especially, I don't want to see that happen. So I hope they can sort this out, because it is worrying if the actors do go on strike, if SAG-AFTRA tell the actors to go on strike, or if, the members, the actors themselves vote unanimously to go on strike, then they're going to go on strike, and this industry could be on hold maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Who knows? 6 months. Nobody knows. So as consumers, we want them to get back to work, because even though we can say most of the shit they do today is shit, there's one or two things. We don't want DC to stop, because you see how exciting it is when, the Flash movie is coming up. The picture I showed you earlier, that's very, very exciting. I mean, I've seen those characters in the film, and I was very excited. And I said earlier on, I really hoped when I saw the test screening that they didn't cut them, because I love the actors and I love the characters. And, these are comic book characters as well. So that's very, very exciting for the fans to see. There's a lot of excited Flash fans. And look, if you're coming from a place from the Snyderverse maybe, or you're offended by, Ezra Miller not being cut from the movie, don't spoil the Flash fans' excitement, because if, as a Superman fan, when Superman Legacy comes out, I'll be saying the same to people. Stay in your lane. Don't spoil my excitement. As a fan, as a Flash fan, this is going to be very, very exciting for people. And I understand the reasons why people want to boycott the Flash movie because of Ezra. I was very triggered by the things Ezra had been charged with and accused of at the time. I was demanding for either the movie to be shelved, and I didn't really think it was a possibility to reshoot the movie again, but shelved the movie just because I didn't think it could possibly make any money. But this is Hollywood, and dreams and magic do come true in Hollywood. Ezra came out, they apologized. Ezra has behaved impeccably since basically Adby and DeLuca threatened them and said, listen, if you keep on embarrassing us, we will shelve this movie. That's exactly what Adby and DeLuca told them. And from that day, they have been as good as gold. And that's brilliant, because now we can celebrate this movie. We want Ezra Miller to get the help that he needs, but also, they need. We want Ezra to get the help that they need. I do want to be respectful about these things. I don't want to be disrespectful, because I think if someone wants to be addressed in a certain way, I think that's fine. As long as you understand, I'm a man. I'm not a he, him. I'm a him. I'm a him man, yeah? So that's fine. But if you want me to address you as they, I will. But sometimes I'm going to forget, because I'm 50, I'm old, and I'm just used to going him. Right, so that is understandable as well. But as long as we make the effort, that's the most important thing. So I'm so hyped for the Flash movie. Whatever Ezra's done is in the past. Whatever happened in the past with DC, we have a massive Flash movie, 2.5 hours long, around that time. Could make a lot of money, could make a lot of people happy. And don't forget, I will at this moment in time, I won't be going to any advanced screenings. I may either do a non-spoiler review based on the experience I had on the test screening. I don't know when I'll do that. I think I've kind of done a review already, but we'll do another one. We'll do another one maybe based on the test screening. But then on June the 16th when it's released, or 15th, maybe the 15th here in Cyprus, as soon as I've seen it, I'll go out to the Cyprus Mall in Nicosia, go and see it, then we'll do a spoiler review. We'll really get into this film, because this is going to be the biggest DC release this year. There's no question about that, and we'll see how it all works out. This has been Sunday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. Me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. See you later.